and through bad times. It is indeed entertainment, and I love it as entertainment, and I don't need it to be a sport, and I, for one, don't want to treat it as a sport. The only reason why I like that ESPN covers wrestling, or that TSN in Canada covers wrestling, or any sports venture covers wrestling, is because they're indeed doing what I just said, covering wrestling. If Entertainment Tonight covered WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble, and when I turned on Access Hollywood after they told us what happened on American Idol, and after they told us who won The Bachelor, other scripted, trying to be real, but in the end, scripted shows, and their results, they told us what happened on SmackDown, they told us what happened on Raw, and they got us hyped for Extreme Rules this Sunday, I would be perfectly fine with that. My problem is it's not in the entertainment world. It's this bastard stepchild that nobody wants. It's not in the sports world. It's not in the entertainment world. I would take it on the fishing network. I would take it on the NASCAR network. Anybody who wants to talk about wrestling, I'm going to take it. If it was well covered on Entertainment Tonight, if it was well covered on the E! Network, if the WWE Kickoff show was like the red carpet show at the Oscars on the E! Network, covered by, Joan London and other, E! celebrities, Perez Hilton, I would be perfectly fine with that. If it was hyped up like the Academy Awards or the Oscars or the Country Music Awards or any entertainment venue, I would be perfectly fine with that. The reason I like that sports venues like ESPN reach out to WWE is not because I want to legitimize it as a sport, just because I want someone to reach out for it. I don't really care who it is. If it stayed in the entertainment world, I would be perfectly fine with that. The problem is the entertainment world has been neglecting wrestling. It doesn't give it its due. I remember Triple H a couple years ago on Larry King Live. He was speaking about wrestling, how it's not quite sport, it's not quite entertainment. We get covered by both. But in the end, they don't really ever get fully covered by either. That's the only reason I would ever want it to be covered by sport. Brian Jones, I agree. It shouldn't be pushed on us like sport. It shouldn't be on ESPN. It shouldn't be on all these major sports networks. The only reason we're happy that it is because we want it to be somewhere. We want it to be somewhere so that it's seen by maybe non-wrestling fans, so that we can kind of have that water cooler talk on a Monday morning, so that people are aware of who John Cena is. They don't have to have watched WrestleMania, but I'm glad that they kind of know that it exists, so we can have somewhat of a conversation about it. Like if I go to a WrestleMania, they understand what that exactly is. I'm not a country music fan, but if somebody says they're going to the Country Music Awards, I don't go, what is country music and what are awards? I know what it is. I'm not going to watch it, but I understand that that's a pretty big deal in the country music world. So if you're a country music fan, that's going to be a good time, and that's a pretty big deal that you're going to be attending it. So once again, I agree with Brian Jones, and I agree with Greg Giannotti. It's a perfect for wrestling to stay in the entertainment world. The problem is the entertainment world is neglecting it. If E! News wants to have a WWE nightly show like they probably do with American Idol, or they do with any sort of other reality shows that are out there, Survivor, Big Brother, those shows all get covered greatly. I watch Entertainment Tonight. They make sure to remind me that tonight's the season finale of Dancing with the Stars. I listen to pop radio in the morning that doesn't necessarily cover sports. They just cover pop culture. And they reminded me who won Dancing with the Stars last night when they tell me which movie came in #1 at the box office this week. But after all of that, they don't tell us who won wrestling or who appeared at wrestling. On occasion, when it's a big star like The Rock or a celebrity, they'll tell us what happened at WrestleMania. But for the most part, they neglect it. So I'm perfectly fine with wrestling staying out of sports. I don't watch it because it's sport. I watch it because it is indeed an entertainment form. But I just want it to be covered by somebody. That's not why I want it to be covered by ESPN. I'm not one of these people out there that wants to give it that legitimacy of athleticism. I think in my head that it does have a little athleticism, but I'm not going to argue with you. If Access Hollywood wants to lead off the show with Monday Night Raw results, and the E! Network wants to be the new home of the WWE Kickoff show, and maybe even air an episode or two of a pay-per-view event and hype it up like they do the Oscars or the Grammys or any one of their award shows throughout the years, even the SAG Awards, I would be perfectly fine if they did that and WWE was never talked about in the world of actual sport ever again. And that is it.
And I just, and one final thought. I mean, I know I could speak for Boy Green. I know he's not with us tonight. I agree with most of what you said. I will leave it at this. It is a great combination. Yes, it is entertainment. Absolutely.
It's a great combination, but I feel that its coverage is lacking in both. Yes, it's not covered like a sport, and it's not covered like entertainment.
It's a hybrid. It's a hybrid. That's what it is. It's a hybrid.
If there's 10 segments on SportsCenter, it's number 10. And if there's 10 segments on The Soup on entertainment television, it's also number 10.
I just call it...
So if it was number 1 on Soup or number 1 on entertainment, I would be fine if it wasn't on sport. If it was number 1 on sport, I'd be fine if it wasn't on entertainment.
I mean, we know as wrestling fans, we know it's scripted. I call it scripted sports. That's what it's scripted sports entertainment, because yes, we know it's almost like a stage performance when you go to like the Shakespeare or opera plays in New York City, or like I know the Lion King's coming to Landmark. It's like a play. It's almost like a TV show, like you said, but it never ends. It's always revolving.
It's indeed like a male soap opera, and that's where it kind of gets that soap opera, because soap operas
opera
are
for
like
guys.
the longest shows. They're every single day. They're all year round. They don't have a stop like a regular sitcom or a regular scripted television show has.
Don't sell it short on the athleticism.
I don't mean to sell it short on the athleticism, but I just hate when people said it should just be treated as entertainment.
No.
If it was treated highly as entertainment, I personally would be fine with it. If I turn on E! Network and they were talking about nothing but wrestling, then I would be fine. If it was never on ESPN ever again, my goal is for it to just be covered by somebody.
I like a little bit of both. I mean, WWE Network gives me enough where if I just want to watch solely wrestling, I can watch solely just wrestling. I'm with you. If it's like the E! Network or, the Entertainment Tonight stuff or ESPN, I don't care if they have a huge segment like they talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs or the NBA playoffs. Even if they just bring it up for a split second, like, oh, just to throw it out there, they have the Extreme Rules this Sunday. Something. Even if it's like a quick segment, it doesn't even have to be on the A segment or the B segment. It could be the last 3 minutes of the show. I don't care. I think it should be spread out just a little bit all over the place. I do call it a sport. And a lot of people I've had friends that are like, oh, it's not a sport. I call it scripted sports entertainment, because as an athlete, it's still you play sports. You have to be an athlete, and wrestling is a sport. You're an athletic individual who also performs, and you are a wrestler. So yes, it's athleticism, it's entertainment, it's a great hybrid. That's why I love it so much. It's sports and entertainment. You can't go wrong. It's a win-win all around.
I'll tell you what's a win-win. The Heel to the Face podcast. And if you are home listening or on the road or wherever you take us, we thank you for being a part of our podcast audience. Until next week, when we will have Extreme Rules results. Very, very in-depth Raw and SmackDown results, as two of the members of this program will be at both Raw and SmackDown this upcoming week in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania and Rochester, New York. So we will definitely make sure to have what we felt from the live audience perspective, as well as just the traditional feedback we give you every single week. As always, thank you for being a part of this program. This has been the Heel to the Face podcast. For Brandon the Icebreaker Clement and myself, Jared Wicks, we will see you next week on Sports War Radio, Rat Pack Radio, and on iTunes.